now let's come to action research. So what is action research? In the discussion of the different gifted orders, one of the terms which were given definition was action research. So based on Gifted Order number 43 series 2015, action research is a process of systematic inquiry to improve educational practices or resolve problems in classrooms and schools. So ang action research talaga ay ina-conduct sa classroom and within the school. And those who can conduct this are the classroom teachers as well as the school heads. The term action research was coined by Kurt Lewin in 1944 to describe a process of investigation and inquiry that occurs as action is taken to solve a problem. Today, we use the term to describe a practice of reflective inquiry undertaken with a goal of improving understanding and practice. In our case, our goal is to improve teaching, learning practices. So the end goal is to improve the performance of the learners. You might consider action to refer to the change you are trying to implement, and research to refer to your improved understanding of the learning environment. So the action research cycle is this. First, identify the problem and envision success, develop a plan, collect data, analyze data and form conclusions, report the results. You can adjust the theory or the practice and then begin again. So let's come to innovation. What is innovation? The word innovation is derived from the Latin word innovare, which means to renew. In essence, the word has retained its meaning up until today. Innovation means to improve or to replace something, for example, a process, a product, or a service. So in our context, innovation can be improving a teaching learning practice or a teaching methodology or teaching strategy. In a school context, innovation means to improve the practices, learning materials, and also learning facilities. Meaning innovation kapag meron ng existing learning materials at may in-inject, may dinagdag ka para ma-improve pa ang learning material na yan or learning facility, that is already innovation. Pero dadaan po pa yan sa quality assurance ng ating Department of Education. The right mindset for innovation. Innovation requires more creativity and more willingness to take risks than the implementation of typical projects. To successfully realize innovation projects, a different mindset is needed. Ano ba yung tamang pag-iisip o tamang mindset na para maging innovative tayo o para maging innovative ang isang teacher? First is break the rules. Ano ba yung break the rules? With traditional approaches and conventional methods, you will often not get anywhere in the field of innovation. Challenge the status quo consistently and explore new paths of the beaten track. Ibig sabihin talagang mag-isip tayo ng bagong pamamaraan ng pagtuturo at hindi na lang palaging yung nakasanayan na ang ating gagamitin. So we should always explore for new things, new ways in teaching. Another mindset for innovation is collect ideas anywhere. Innovation projects constantly need new ideas to overcome obstacles, to change concepts, and to optimize strategies. Kaya nga, kahit saan, kung halimbawa nagta-travel tayo at makapansin tayo na makadaan tayo sa isang school kahit na at a glance lang, tingnan nyo yung school, baka may makukuha tayo na ideya para mag-innovate. Yung panunod tayo ng mga YouTube about educational practices, teaching learning practices. Kaya makuha tayo na mga ideya kung paano tayo natin ma-improve ang teaching learning process or teaching practice. So, kahit saan pwedeng makakuha ng ideya. Kahit na doon sa pinakamababa ang ranggo sa school, baka may bright idea sila. Pwede rin yung mga kahit na yung mga janitor o mga helper natin, baka may mga bright idea sila, pwede tayong makakuha ng ideya or idea sa kanila na magiging daan para magkaroon tayo ng innovation project sa ating school. Another mindset for innovation is believe in the impossible. Make the impossible possible. Imagine how your innovation will look like in reality. Believe that you will be able to overcome all obstacles on the way to realization. Sabihin talagang pag-isipan natin ng mabuti, pagtrabahuan, mag-extra effort, gumawa ng paraan para makapag-review, para pumasa sa English. So kahit napakarami tayong mga trabaho sa school, busy, parang wala nang time pag-review, but sabi pa nga, kung may gusto, maraming paraan. Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan. Kaya, be innovative in and reviewing and preparing for the national qualification for the English examination for school heads. Dahil napaka-importante talaga ang preparation and pag-review, lalo ng self-review every day for many months para po magkaroon tayo ng confidence to answer and pass the qualifying examination for school heads. Another right mindset for innovation is put together an innovation team of individuals with different perspectives and thinking styles. Innovation needs the diversity of various competencies and diverse ways of thinking. So, doon sa discussion natin sa continuous improvement and school improvement planning, meron mga criteria, di ba, kung paano natin bubuuin ang isang innovative or CISI team sa ating school. One way is yung malawak ang panunawa at open-minded at ready for change. Diba? May advice doon na wag na lang nating isali yung mga teachers natin na close-minded. Ayaw na talagang mag-adapt sa mga bagong strategy of teaching. Kung ano na nakasanayan niya for many years, yun na lang gusto niya at ayaw nang lumabas sa kanyang comfort room. That's not the right mindset for innovation. So what is innovation in education? In general, innovation is based in the criterion or creation or redesign of products, processes, or business models for the benefit of an organization. Innovation in education is similarly focused on making positive changes, but in this case, these changes will directly benefit a classroom, school, district, university, or even an organization's training and learning practices. So, yun po ang innovation education. Ano ang kailangan i-improve o nagiging improvement o ano yung positive effect doon sa classroom. Kakaroon ng magandang teaching learning process. Ang school ay na-improve in performance, especially the basic performance indicator. At in general, nagkakaroon na-improve ang teaching learning process and the performance of the learners. So, to innovate in the education sector. Rees Medwid believes that innovation education includes 3 key steps. First, examine your current situation. This should include an examination of your experience followed by a mental exploration of how that experience could be improved upon. Ask yourself these 3 questions to get this process going, including what is the problem, how can I address the problem to make it better, and what tools do I have at my disposal to assist in this process. So we already discussed thoroughly about this, how to innovate in the CI, continuous improvement process. If we will just follow the 10 steps in the CI process, that's already the process, the best way to innovate. Another, broaden your approach and accept to feedback. Then analyze the outcomes of that experiment and identify what further support might be needed to either hone the idea or restructure it all together. Yung broaden your approach and accept to feedback it's about listening to the voice of the stakeholders in the CI process. Then this final step is perhaps the most important and will require the most time and effort. Within it, you will likely lean on existing data about your subject, which might include examining past artifacts, doing research, speaking with those who have tried to innovate in this space before you, and perhaps most importantly, identifying your stakeholders. So this is part of the CI project already, in the listening to the voice of the stakeholders, and of course in data gathering and interviewing parang mga resource person, yung mga experienced persons related to your project. Now let's come to benchmarking. Part of innovation or improving a school practice is benchmarking. In the 2015 examination, English, mga 5 questions po ang binigay related to benchmarking. Mabuti na lang ay nabasa ko ito na article about benchmarking. That's why I was able to answer correctly the questions related to benchmarking. Mga swak na swak talaga ang mga questions na yon sa mga binasa ko sa benchmarking. Baka this next exam ay mag-include din naman ng mga questions about benchmarking. That's why I included this as a subtopic in research and innovation. Kasi importante nga ito. We always hear the word benchmarking in our school, and this is given also importance as part of improving our school in terms of teaching learning practices and other aspects of managing and leading the school. So what is benchmarking? Benchmarking is the process of identifying, understanding, and adapting outstanding practices and processes from organization anywhere in the world in order to help your organization to improve its performance. In our case, is adapting outstanding practice and processes of other schools anywhere in the Philippines or anywhere in the world that can be adapted to your school in order to improve the performance of your learners. So what is benchmarking? You will note that our definition uses the word outstanding rather than the best. So what is best for your organization depends on your own unique situation. In addition to the word adapt has been used rather than adopt. I don't know if my pronunciation is right, but you just focus on the spelling. Benchmarking is not just about observing outstanding practices and then copying them. For an outstanding practice to work in your organization, it is likely that it will have to be changed in order to it to be made effective in your school. So ito ang dapat nating tandaan, na kapag ang na-benchmark natin ay hindi dapat copy and paste. We have to contextualize the things that we benchmark to suit to the context of our school. Ulitin natin ha, benchmarking is not just about observing outstanding practices and then copying them. It is not. For an outstanding practice to work in your organization, it is likely that it will have to be changed or to be contextualized in order to it to be made effective in our context, in our school, to our school. Why do we benchmark? Benchmarking helps us to focus on all the business imperatives involved in customer satisfaction, process performance, and business results. So ito po ay sa mga negosyante, pero pwede rin naman ma-apply sa mga schools. Any process or practice then can be defined, can be benchmarked as, for example, strategic planning. Yung ESIP, pwede natin ma-benchmark. Yung may mga magagandang ESIP sa inyong division, pwede nating ma-benchmark. At pwede nating ma-benchmark yung mga programs and projects included in the ESIP kung aligned naman ito sa mga priority improvement areas in your school. Cited or na pinili or dinicide po ng school planning team na yung i-prioritize. So, halimbawa, sa isang school, very successful, at tinignan mo kanilang ESIP, ay parehas lang naman ang priority improvement areas sa inyong priority improvement areas. So, you can benchmark yung mga specific programs and projects. Product comparison, comparing with competitors or best practice organization. In our case, this will be yung mga innovative projects ng other schools, like reading program, yung mga innovative reading program ng isang school o ng other school, tapos naging award sila national. We can go to their school and benchmark their reading project or program. Forecasting, predicting trends in relevant areas, and goal setting, establishing performance goals in relation to state-of-the-art practices. So, ito na nga, we can benchmark the best practice. Best practice benchmarking goes beyond competitive analysis. In that here, the actual processes that deliver the analysis, in that here, the actual process that deliver the level of performance are uncovered. Tinitingnan natin kung ano yung mga ginawa, mga activities at mga strategy na ginawa o in-implement. Example, in the reading program na nag-pave way to the success of the reading program. Pero kailangan din talaga pag-aralan. Pag-aralan natin ng mabuti ang mga ito. Baka sugar-coated lang ang kanilang report. Dahil baka maganda lang sa papeles, pero in actual, hindi talaga maganda. At na-report na best practice sa region at national, pero kapag pinuntahan mo talaga, ay worst practice. Kaya dapat tayo, pag nag-benchmark tayo sa isang school na particular aspect, so dapat tayo ay maging mapagmatsyag. Mapagmatsyag. Huwag kaagad mamamangha. So kung ano ang nakasulat sa mga reports. Okay, there are steps in benchmarking. Hindi lang pupunta tayo, sabihin mo ngayong araw, benchmark tayo doon sa school na yun dahil napakasikat na school. Bukas na bukas, pupunta tayo doon. No. There are steps to be followed in benchmarking. There are activities to be done. First step is identify what to benchmark. So, ano ang gagawin natin? Clarify the benchmark objectives. Of course, may objectives talaga ang ating pag-benchmark. Decide whom to involve. Hindi naman lahat ng teacher ay dadali natin doon sa another school para mag-benchmark. Pipiliin lang natin kung sino ang magiging involved. Define the process. Anong process doon? Anong process ang i-benchmark natin? Consider the scope. So, anong practice? Anong part ng school practice ang i-benchmark doon? Hindi lahat ng programa nila i-benchmark natin. Ba dapat talaga nakafocus at nakadefine kung ano ang scope ng i-benchmark. Set the boundaries, agree on what happens in the process, and flowchart the process. So, example, pag pasok sa gate, saan pupunta, sino ang tatanungin, pagpasok sa opisina ng principal, na i-benchmark natin, ano ang gagawin doon, ano ang mga part ng school na pipicturan, saan magpo-photo op. Then, after that, determine what to measure. Examine the flowchart, establish process measures, verify the measures match objectives. So, anong i-measure natin doon? Is that the reading level? Then, identify who to benchmark. Conduct general research. Choose level of benchmark. Collect data. Use a questionnaire. Conduct a benchmarking site visit. So, may dala-dala pala tayo na data gathering tools. So, kung we want quantitative data, meron tayong questionnaire. If we want qualitative data, dapat magdala tayo ng mga cameras or picture at pag-record, pag-video ng mga kailangan natin na information. Kailangan mag-interview. So, collect data using questionnaire and conduct a benchmarking site visit. Analyze data and determine the gap. So, the qualitative and the quantitative data analysis. We already discussed this in the CI. Develop an action plan. Set performance goals. Develop an action plan. Then monitor the process. Track the changes. Make benchmarking a habit. Yung develop an action plan kung paano na natin i-apply ang ating na benchmark from other school to our schools. So, ito naman ang difference between a benchmark, ang totoo na pag-benchmark, ang hindi totoong pag-benchmark. Okay, benchmarking is not a general comparison of your school to another school. Benchmarking is a study and transfer of specific best practices. So, best practices talaga. Pipili tayo ng isang best practice ng school at yun ang ating i-benchmark one at a time lang kung marami silang best practices. Pero pwede naman, igugrupo-grupo natin ang ating mga teachers at i-assign kung anong best practice ang kanilang ipo-focus once kung talagang lahat ng teachers ay dadalhin mo doon sa isang school. So, dapat every group of teachers ay may naka-assign what to benchmark. Then, benchmarking is not a method of making little improvement here and there. Benchmarking linked to your school's vision and critical goals. Then, benchmarking is not based on best guesses of what might work. Benchmarking is based on actual performance measures, evidence-based. Kaya nga, palagi na inulit-ulit na ito na dapat evidence-based, data-driven. a look and see review. Benchmarking is not a look and see review of another school's program. Titingnan mo lang, napakaganda si Xerox nito at implement ko dun sa aking school. Benchmarking is an in-depth analysis of processes, data, and enablers. Kapag nag-benchmark tayo, mag-observe tayo sa classroom or really observe the actual remediation class. Then tingnan natin ang result ng mga kanilang assessment. Tapos mag-interview tayo sa mga bata at makinig din, mag-obserba. Kung talagang magagaling bumasa na ang mga teachers, ang mga learners. Benchmarking is not a mechanism for cutting the budget. Benchmarking is a mechanism for achieving stakeholder satisfaction. In our case, it is achieving that improving learner performance. Of course, to have strong support from our stakeholders and approval from our stakeholders. Benchmarking is not a cookbook program with standard success recipes. Yes, dahil nga, we have to adjust, we have to contextualize what we have benchmark para ma-fitted o ma-fit doon sa ating actual situation. So, benchmarking is a discovery and learning process. Then, benchmarking is not changing for the sake of change. It is through preparation and articulation of the goals for change. So, nakapokus talaga tayo kung anong mga dapat nating gawin para magkaroon ng pagbabago sa ating school. So, ito ang clarification between a true benchmarking and what it's not, na yung hindi dapat gawin. Let's come to the myth and reality about benchmarking. Ano ang myth about benchmarking? Benchmarking is copying or imitating. Mali po yan. Ulit-ulit ko na yan na ini-explain. In reality, the reality is that benchmarking, although benchmarking involves observing and learning from others, it does not involve copying a process. Rather, successful approaches should be adapted and applied to your organization. Remember the word adapt. A-D-A-P-T-E. Hindi O. A. Tandaan yan. A, yung benchmarking is to adapt. A-D-A-P. Sorry lang po sa kung mali ang aking pronunciation. Pero yun ang dapat tandaan na spelling about benchmarking. Then, another myth about benchmarking. Benchmarking is simply a matter of raising your sight to the levels of top-notch organization. No. So, ano yung dapat? This perception misses the main thrust of benchmarking, which looks beyond the numbers to the processes that produce the result. Looks beyond the numbers dapat yung benchmark. Yun nga, dapat tayo ay mapagmatsyag, tayo pa ay mag-imbestiga pa ng malalim kung ano talaga ang naging sikreto ng kanilang success, dahil kung minsan hindi sinasabi ng mga kinauukulan kung ano talaga ang kanilang naging sikreto para naging successful ang kanilang program. Kaya kailangan talaga imbestigahan, kalkalin kung ano ang katotohanan. Okay, benchmarking, ang hindi maling paniniwala naman is that benchmarking is only for streamlining manufacturing process sa mga sa companies, sa mga pabrika. Although benchmarking is a valuable tool in improving manufacturing process, and sa atin naman teaching learning processes, this equally applicable to every other organizational process from classroom management, yun nga, to student and teacher performance evaluation and recognition. Bakit maraming outstanding sa isang school? So, one school, pagkaroon ng division awarding, maraming awardee from one school. Halos hakot award na sila. So, tingnan natin kung ano ang nangyari. Bakit hakot award sila? Baka naman sila lang ang nag-submit ng documents for division awards at ang iba hindi nag-submit dahil tinamad. Dahil marami ang ginagawa at hindi prioritize ang award na yan. Ang isang school naman, prioritize ang award, sila lang ang nakasubmit. Kaya lahat ng sinubmit na for awarding, for outstanding, sila ang napili dahil wala namang competitor. Baka yun ang katotohanan. So another mate, once you have benchmarked the best, you've ready for the long term. No, in reality, benchmarking is not a one-time event. It is a learning and discovery journey. The more you search, the more you learn. Markets, technologies, and school operating environments are constantly changing and growing. Benchmarking should be thought of and planned as an ongoing process as part of the continually improving to meet and exceed customers' requirements. And sa atin naman, yung set standards by our organization or our institution para malampasan natin ang minimum standard like yung sa MPS, the minimum standard is at least 75, di ba? So through continuous benchmarking with best practices, teaching learning practices, ang projects of other school, baka naman masurpass natin yung 75% na standard, baka pwedeng maging 80 or 90. 90? From 65, naging 90. That is, halimbawa, so take note of statistical probability ha, na halimbawa, nag-report ng ating increase ng MPS from 65% to 95%. That is statistically improbable daw according to statistician. Dahil yung probable daw ay 2 to 5% increase or improvement of performance. Acceptable na po yun at that is statistically probable. Ibig sabihin, walang sugarcoating sa report. So, do not worry if our performance improvement will be between 2 to 5% dahil how that is in accordance with science, the science of statistics. So that's conclude our session about research and innovations still on Philippine Professional Standards for School Heads, Domain 1, Leading Strategically. I hope na may marami kayong natutunan sa session na ito. And I hope that questions will be taken from the different topics in this domain para po ay makapasa kayo sa susunod na National Qualifying Examination for School Heads. Once again, see you next session on Strand 5. Bye-bye!